Welcome to my channel. Subscribe and enjoy my new stories every day. It was a Thursday evening, and I was wrapping up a long day at work. My body ached from sitting in meetings all day, and my mind felt foggy, ready to shut down for the night. As I drove home, I glanced at the dashboard clock. It was still early, around 6:30, and I knew Mia would be finishing up at her office soon. I hadn't planned on picking her up, but we hadn't spent much time together lately. Between her late hours and my demanding job, the distance between us had grown, and something told me tonight I should surprise her. I figured I could pull into the parking lot, text her to come out, and maybe we'd grab dinner together. It felt like the perfect opportunity to reconnect. As I approached her office building, I noticed the lot wasn't as empty as I expected for that hour. A few cars were scattered around, but one in particular caught my eye, a sleek, black sedan, parked off to the side in the shadow of the building. At first, I thought nothing of it, but then I saw it. Movement inside the car. It was subtle, just a shadow of two figures, but something didn't feel right. Curiosity got the better of me, so I drove closer, careful to keep a safe distance. As I pulled up behind a nearby car, I could see through the windshield of the sedan. That's when my heart dropped. Mia. There she was, in the front seat of the car, her face close to the lap of a man I'd never seen before. She was doing it. Her head moved rhythmically, the man's hand rested on the back of her neck, fingers tangled in her hair. I couldn't believe it. My wife, the woman I had built a life with, was right there, in plain sight, committing the ultimate betrayal. I sat frozen in my car, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. My mind raced, trying to process what I was seeing. Could this really be happening? Mia, the woman I had trusted, loved, devoted myself to, was cheating on me, like this? My stomach churned as waves of nausea hit me. I wanted to look away, to unsee the scene unfolding before my eyes, but I couldn't. I was trapped, forced to witness every sickening moment. Finally, she pulled back, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand as if nothing had happened. The man leaned over and kissed her, a deep, intimate kiss that made my blood boil. This wasn't just a one-time thing. This was deliberate, passionate, something more than a fleeting mistake. Mia smiled at him, a smile I hadn't seen in weeks, maybe months. I clenched my jaw, my teeth grinding together as a mix of anger and humiliation coursed through me. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it might burst out of my chest. How long had this been going on? How many nights had she lied to me, telling me she was working late or out with friends, only to meet him? The betrayal was so much deeper than just the physical act. It was the lies, the deceit, the mockery of everything we had built together. My phone buzzed on the passenger seat, snapping me out of my daze. It was a text from Mia. Working late tonight, don't wait up. I stared at the message, my pulse quickening. The audacity. She was still lying to me, even now. My entire body trembled with rage. I wanted to confront her, to storm over to that car and rip her out of it. I wanted to scream, to make her feel every ounce of the pain she was causing me. But something inside me stopped. This wasn't the time. Not yet. I sat back, taking deep breaths, trying to calm the storm brewing inside me. My mind was racing, but clarity was beginning to form. This wasn't going to end with a simple confrontation. No, this needed to be handled differently. She needed to feel what I was feeling, no, worse. She needed to understand the gravity of her betrayal. I was going to ruin her, the way she was ruining me. I didn't leave immediately. I watched as Mia and her lover finished up, casually fixing their clothes, as if this was just another day for them. He said something that made her laugh, that same carefree, melodic laugh that used to be meant for me. They didn't even know I was there, watching them. In that moment, I realized that I had been invisible to her for far longer than I cared to admit. Mia got out of the car first, adjusting her blouse and smoothing her hair before walking toward the office building. The man lingered in the car, checking his phone before driving off. Once he was gone, I waited a few minutes before pulling out of the lot. My mind was already turning with ideas. If she wanted to destroy our marriage, I would destroy her. But I wouldn't just walk away quietly, I was going to make sure she regretted this. As I drove home, my thoughts grew darker. I imagined the confrontation, the look on her face when she realized I knew everything. But that wasn't enough. The more I thought about it, the more I wanted her to suffer. She would lose everything, her comfort, her reputation, the life we had built together. I would take it all from her, just like she had taken my trust and my heart. By the time I pulled into the driveway, my plan was already forming. This wasn't just about ending the marriage anymore, it was about revenge. And I knew exactly where to start. I stared at our front door, the home we shared, the life we built together. Soon, it would all come crashing down. The Mia I knew, the life we had, was gone. What came next was going to change everything. For both of us. The next morning, the house was silent, almost eerily so. Mia had already left for work by the time I got out of bed, and for the first time in years, I was grateful for her absence. I needed time to think, to put my plan in motion. As I stood in the kitchen, staring at the remnants of the breakfast she'd made for herself, her typical smoothie half drunk on the counter, a banana peel in the sink, I felt a wave of disgust. How many times had she gone through this same routine, leaving for work as if everything was fine, when in reality, she was betraying me behind my back. I grabbed my phone, the cold device feeling like a weapon in my hand. The first step was simple. I called her office, putting on the calmest voice I could manage. "Good morning, it's Derek," I said when her assistant picked up. "Could you tell me if Mia's in?" "Good morning, Mr. Tanner." "She just stepped out for a meeting with a client," her assistant replied cheerfully, as if nothing was wrong. "Thanks," I replied, hanging up the phone without another word. Lies. More lies. Her assistant had no idea she was probably with him again, doing God knows what in some secluded spot. My chest tightened with fury, but I forced myself to stay calm. Losing control now would ruin everything. I knew I needed concrete evidence, something undeniable that would expose Mia for what she truly was. The truth alone wasn't enough. She could deny, twist the story, play the victim, and I couldn't let that happen. This was about making sure she couldn't weasel her way out of the consequences. I called my friend Luke, a tech-savvy guy who owed me a favor. He picked up on the second ring. "Derek, what's up, man?" "Long time," he said with his usual upbeat tone. "I need your help, Luke," I said, my voice low. "It's something personal." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Everything okay?" "No, not really." I clenched my teeth, feeling the weight of the betrayal again. "Mia's been cheating on me." "Holy, are you serious?" "Yeah. I caught her yesterday, with some guy in a car. I don't have all the details yet, but I know it's been going on for a while. I need to track her. Find out who he is, where they're meeting, everything." Luke didn't hesitate. "Say no more. I can get some spyware on her phone. You'll be able to see her messages, calls, GPS, all of it." "But Derek, man, are you sure you want to go down this road?" "Luke, she's been lying to me for God knows how long. I need to know the full truth, and I need evidence. I'm done playing the fool." My voice was cold, emotionless, but inside, my stomach churned with a mix of anticipation and dread. "All right, I'll send you the link. You'll just need to get her phone for a minute. Install it and you're set." I thanked him and hung up. The next part would require patience, but I was ready. Mia wouldn't be back until the evening, so I had time to prepare. I thought about our upcoming weekend. She'd been talking about taking a day trip out of town, something just for the two of us. Now I saw through her words. She wasn't planning a romantic getaway for us. She was probably arranging a rendezvous with her lover. Later that evening, Mia came home just after 6, her usual smile plastered across her face as if nothing was amiss. She kissed me on the cheek and tossed her purse on the kitchen counter. "How was your day?" she asked casually, reaching into the fridge for a drink. I fought the urge to grab her by the shoulders and scream at her, demand answers, but I stayed calm. "It was fine," I replied. "Busy, but the usual." She nodded, sipping her water, her eyes scanning the room like she was looking for something to busy herself with. There was no hint of guilt in her eyes, no sign of the double life she was living. She was good at this, too good. I cleared my throat. "Actually, I was thinking," I said, trying to sound natural. "Maybe we should go out this weekend. Just the two of us. You've been working so hard lately, we could use some time together." Her eyes flickered, just for a second, but enough for me to catch it. "Oh, I have plans this weekend," she said, glancing away as if the refrigerator was suddenly fascinating. "Plans?" I asked, feigning surprise. "Yeah," she continued quickly, "I told you, right? I'm going to see my friend Julie out of town." I completely forgot until she reminded me this morning. Mia gave me a practiced smile, but her body language was off, tense, guarded. Lies. Every word was a lie. I forced a smile. "You're right, I think you did mention that." I tried to sound casual, like I didn't have the weight of her betrayal crushing me from the inside out. "Maybe we can do something the following weekend then." She nodded, looking relieved. "Definitely." Once she disappeared into the shower, I took my chance. I grabbed her phone off the counter, my fingers moving quickly as I installed the spyware Luke had sent me. It only took a minute, but it felt like an eternity. When it was done, I placed the phone back exactly as I'd found it and returned to my spot on the couch. From that moment on, I was watching her. Every text, every call, every movement she made. And it didn't take long for the truth to start pouring in. That night, as she sat beside me watching TV, I saw the messages appear on my phone. Her lover's name was Greg, some guy she'd been seeing for months. They were planning to meet again this weekend, just as I had suspected. "I miss you already," Greg's message flashed on the screen. "Me too. Can't wait for Saturday," winky face, Mia had responded, her phone innocently sitting on the coffee table as we sat there together, pretending everything was fine. My pulse quickened. The betrayal felt even deeper now, more real. This wasn't some passing affair. This was a calculated, ongoing relationship, right under my nose. And Mia wasn't the woman I thought she was anymore. I stared at her, my heart pounding in my chest. She was laughing at something on the TV, completely oblivious to the storm that was about to hit her. She had no idea what was coming. I wasn't going to confront her yet. Not until I had everything. Not until she couldn't deny a single thing. And when that moment came, she'd regret every lie, every secret. I would make sure of it. This was only the beginning. The next few days were an exercise in self-control. Every morning, I woke up next to Mia, watched her go through her routine, and pretended that everything was fine. All the while, I monitored her phone, tracking every message, every move. The truth was right there, in front of me, like a poison seeping into every corner of my mind. But I stayed silent. It was Friday evening, and Mia was busy packing a small overnight bag. She was humming softly to herself, her mood lighter than it had been in weeks. As she stuffed her clothes into the bag, I stood in the doorway, watching her, pretending to be engrossed in my phone. "You're really looking forward to this trip with Julie, huh?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. She looked up at me, a faint smile on her lips. "Yeah, it'll be nice to catch up." We haven't spent much time together lately. She turned back to her bag, carefully folding a blouse I knew she never wore around her friends. I nodded, biting back the venomous words I wanted to say. Sounds like fun. Maybe we can plan something next weekend, like we talked about. She paused for a moment, her back to me. Definitely, she said, a little too quickly. Next weekend for sure. I wanted to laugh. The performance she put on was almost convincing. Almost. As she zipped up her bag, I walked over and kissed her on the forehead. She looked up at me, her smile faltering just slightly. I'll miss you, I said softly, knowing full well where she was going. She gave me a quick peck on the lips, the kind of kiss you give someone when your mind is already somewhere else. I'll miss you too, she replied, her eyes flicking away. I watched her leave, her overnight bag slung over her shoulder, and as soon as she closed the door behind her, I sprang into action. I grabbed my phone, opening the app that Luke had set up for me. I watched her location on the GPS, a little blinking dot slowly making its way across the city. I could feel my heart racing, my chest tight with anticipation. She wasn't going to see Julie. She was going to see Greg. I waited, giving her enough time to get comfortable, to think she was safe. Then, I headed to my car, starting the engine with a cold sense of purpose. There was no turning back now. The drive was tense, every second dragging on as I followed her location in real time. My hands gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white with tension. I rehearsed what I would say, what I would do when I confronted her. But the truth was, I didn't know. I didn't know how I would react when I saw her with him. She stopped at a hotel, a boutique spot just outside of town. The kind of place couples go for a weekend getaway. My stomach twisted as I pulled into the lot, parking far enough away that she wouldn't see me. I watched as she stepped out of her car, her eyes scanning the parking lot nervously. She was waiting for him. I waited too, watching from a distance as Greg's car pulled up a few minutes later. He was tall, fit, and younger than I'd expected. He stepped out, and Mia immediately walked over to him, throwing her arms around his neck and kissing him, deeply. I felt my heart pound so hard it hurt. This wasn't just some affair. It was something more, something that had been festering for longer than I could stomach. Watching them together, seeing her kiss him with the same passion she used to reserve for me, it ignited something dark inside me. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. This was war. I watched them head inside, hand in hand, completely oblivious to the storm brewing just a few hundred feet away. My hands trembled as I pulled out my phone, snapping a few photos of them together, hard evidence. She wouldn't be able to deny anything now. I waited for a while, long enough to make sure they were fully comfortable inside. Then, I got out of the car, walking toward the entrance. Every step felt heavier than the last, but I didn't hesitate. This was it, the moment everything would come crashing down for her. I walked into the lobby, the soft murmur of the hotel staff barely registering in my mind. I knew the room number, they always used the same hotel, and I had been keeping tabs on the location. I made my way to the elevator, each second feeling like an eternity as I ascended to the third floor. My heart was racing, but my mind was calm. When I reached their door, I hesitated for just a second, my hand hovering over the doorknob. I could hear faint laughter from inside, muffled voices that made my blood boil. I took a deep breath and knocked, hard. There was a pause. Then, Mia's voice, sounding slightly panicked. Hold on. The door opened a crack, and her eyes met mine. For a split second, she looked like she'd seen a ghost. Derek? Her voice faltered, her eyes wide with shock. I pushed the door open wider, stepping inside. She stumbled back, her face going pale as I took in the scene. Greg was there, shirtless, standing awkwardly near the bed. The room reeked of betrayal. You weren't expecting me, were you? I said, my voice dangerously calm. I could feel the tension in my body, but I kept it in check. This wasn't the time to lose control, not yet. Mia's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. She looked at Greg, then back at me. "It's not what it looks like," she stammered, scrambling to find an excuse. I let out a bitter laugh. "Really? So, you weren't planning to spend the weekend screwing him behind my back? Because it sure looks like that's exactly what's happening." Greg shifted uncomfortably, his face pale. He wasn't saying a word, and I could tell he wasn't prepared for this. I stepped closer, my eyes locking onto his. "You," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "I don't know who the hell you think you are, but you've been screwing my wife for months now, haven't you?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to. "Get out," I growled. "Now." Greg quickly grabbed his shirt, avoiding eye contact as he slipped past me, practically running out of the room. I didn't care about him anymore. He wasn't my target. She was. I turned back to Mia, who was standing there, trembling, her eyes wide with fear. "Derek, I can explain," she started, but I cut her off. "Explain what, Mia?" "That you've been lying to me for months. That you've been sneaking around, cheating on me with some guy while I'm at home thinking we still have a marriage." My voice was rising now, anger finally breaking through the calm facade I'd been holding on to. She shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen." I laughed bitterly. "You didn't mean for this to happen. You've been lying to me every single day, Mia. You didn't accidentally end up in a hotel room with another man." She sobbed, her hands covering her face. "Derek, please, I can fix this. We can fix this." I stepped closer, my voice cold. "No, Mia. There's no fixing this. You destroyed everything." The tears fell harder, but I didn't care. I had made my decision. "I'm done," I said quietly. "I'm done with you, with this. You can have him, or whoever else you want, but you'll never see me again." And with that, I turned and walked out of the room, leaving her broken, just like she had left me. The door closed behind me with a soft click, and as I walked down the hallway, I felt nothing but the cold satisfaction of knowing that her life, as she knew it, was over. I left the hotel that night with an eerie calm settling over me, but beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. Mia's sobs, her pathetic apologies, they meant nothing. The sight of her crumbling in front of me hadn't brought the satisfaction I thought it would. It wasn't enough. The next morning, I sat in my car outside our house, the engine idling as I stared blankly ahead. I wasn't going to leave things unfinished. Mia had taken so much from me, so much of my trust, my love, years of my life wasted on someone who saw me as a fool. Now, I was going to take everything from her. And I knew exactly where to start. I picked up my phone, scrolling through the contacts until I found the one person who mattered most to Mia, her boss, Richard Blackwell. Mia had climbed the corporate ladder quickly, all thanks to his mentorship. I smirked to myself. If she thought she'd keep her career after this, she was wrong. I hit dial, my heart pounding as the phone rang. He picked up on the third ring. "Hello, Richard. It's Derek Tanner. Mia's husband." There was a pause on the other end. "Derek, what can I do for you? I think you and I need to have a little chat about Mia. There's something I thought you'd like to know, something about her conduct outside of work. Maybe it'll be of interest to you." My voice was steady, but I could feel the tension coiling in my chest. There was another pause, then his tone changed, more serious. "Go on." I kept it short and sweet, telling him about Mia's affair, how she'd been lying to everyone, using company time to run off with her lover. By the time I hung up, I knew Mia's career was as good as gone. I could almost hear the gears turning in Richard's head as he realized the implications. A scandal like this wouldn't just affect Mia, it would reflect poorly on the company. And Richard wasn't the kind of man to tolerate disloyalty. Next, I sent an anonymous email to Mia's department, detailing the affair, attaching the photos I'd taken the night before. Within minutes, rumors would spread, and the image she had worked so hard to maintain would be shattered. But this was only the beginning. That evening, Mia came home, her eyes red and puffy. She'd clearly been crying, but I didn't ask why. She sat at the dining table, staring blankly at the wall. I could see the weight of what was happening sinking in, but I wasn't about to let her off the hook. "Derek, can we talk?" she asked, her voice shaky. I leaned against the counter, folding my arms. "Talk? About what? You've already said everything, haven't you?" She shook her head, wiping her eyes. "I made a mistake. I can't lose you. Please, Derek, I'll do anything to make this right." A bitter laugh escaped me. "Make this right? You really think you can just apologize and everything will go back to the way it was? You ruined our marriage, Mia. You destroyed everything." She broke down again, her sobs echoing through the empty house. "I'll leave him, I swear. I'll do whatever you want, just don't leave me." I stared at her, cold and calculating. The anger inside me was turning into something darker now. This wasn't about getting even anymore. This was about destroying her the way she had destroyed me. "I already left you, Mia," I said quietly, my voice like ice. "You just don't realize it yet." Over the next few days, everything started to unravel. Mia was called into a meeting with Richard and the HR department. I wasn't there, but I knew how it would go. They would confront her with the evidence, the rumors spreading like wildfire through the office. Her name was already being whispered in the hallways, her colleagues avoiding her, her reputation tarnished beyond repair. When she came home that evening, she was a wreck. Her eyes were swollen, and her hands shook as she fumbled with her keys. "I was suspended," she said, her voice hollow. "Pending investigation. I might lose my job, Derek. I can't believe this is happening." I shrugged, showing no sympathy. "Actions have consequences, Mia. You should have thought about that before." She collapsed onto the couch, her whole body trembling. "Please, Derek. I'm begging you, stop this. I know you're behind this. I know what you're doing." I leaned over her, my face inches from hers. "This is what you deserve. You took everything from me. Now, I'm taking everything from you." The following week was a downward spiral. Mia was officially terminated from her position. Her lover, Greg, vanished, leaving her alone to face the fallout. The whispers from her friends and colleagues turned into full-blown accusations, and the weight of her actions pressed down on her like a vice. But I wasn't done. I knew that Mia prided herself on her relationships with our mutual friends, on being the center of social circles. So, I made sure they all knew what she'd done. I met with them, one by one, over drinks or casual dinners, subtly dropping the story of her infidelity. I didn't have to do much. They were quick to turn their backs on her, disgusted by the betrayal. Mia's life was falling apart, piece by piece. She had nothing left, no job, no friends, no lover. All that remained was the empty shell of the woman I once loved, and I watched with cold satisfaction as the last vestiges of her life crumbled around her. But there was one final blow left to deliver. One night, I came home to find Mia sitting at the dining table, her face gaunt, her eyes hollow. The house was dark, the only light coming from a single lamp in the corner. She looked up at me as I walked in, her voice barely a whisper. "Derek. I can't take this anymore." I raised an eyebrow, crossing my arms. "Oh. What's left for you to take?" Her hands trembled as she reached into her pocket, pulling out a piece of paper. "I got this in the mail today. It's a notice for divorce." I took the paper from her, my heart pounding in my chest. I had filed the papers the day after I left that hotel room, knowing full well what this moment would bring. It was the final nail in the coffin. I told you I was done, Mia, I said coldly. I meant it. Her eyes filled with tears, but this time, there was something else there, something darker, something desperate. Please, Derek, don't do this. I'll lose everything. I can't live without you. I'll die without you. I stepped closer, my voice low and merciless. Good. Maybe you should have thought of that before you opened your legs for someone else. Her sobs filled the room, but I felt nothing. No pity, no regret. This was her fate, and she had chosen it. I walked past her, heading for the door, ready to leave her life forever. But as I reached the door, I heard it, a soft, metallic click. I turned around, and my blood froze. Mia stood there, a small handgun in her trembling hands, pointed directly at her temple. Her face was twisted in pain, her voice barely audible. I can't do this without you, Derek. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Before I could move, before I could even process what was happening, the sound of a gunshot rang through the house. And then, silence. The woman I had once loved, the woman I had vowed to destroy, was gone. Forever. As I stood there, staring at her lifeless body on the floor, a strange numbness settled over me. I had won. I had taken everything from her, just as I had planned. But as the blood pooled around her, I realized that in the end, the victory tasted hollow. The woman who had betrayed me was gone. And so was everything I had once been. Forever.